All right, get this. We're diving into this English learning webinar transcript you found. It's with this guy, Amol, and
Yeah, this Emil, he really jumps right in,
yeah.
doesn't he? Like almost from the first word, he's saying traditional grammar stuff just doesn't work. Even goes on about how his way, surprised, get this, the BBC.
He is not exactly Mr. Subtlety, is he?
No, not really.
Uh,
But kind of refreshing, maybe. I mean, so many people get burned out on all that grammar, right? Like
mhm.
the textbooks, the drills, never feeling like they can just speak the language.
Yeah, totally. You hit the books and it's like, will I ever just have a normal conversation?
And he gets that. That's his whole thing, Like people are frustrated, stuck.
Yeah.
You study, but then boom, you freeze up talking to someone. He's all about learning naturally, like kids do.
Right, like his daughter, he talks about her, 3 years old, picking up English, no problem. Makes you think, are we overthinking this whole thing as adults?
Totally. He uses this example. Imagine learning Tamil, not from a book, but by living there years in Tamil Nadu, just absorbing it. So he's about constant exposure, just like kids. It's organic.
Interesting way to think about it. And he has that list, right? The problems learners face. It's like, get up and see TV. Catchy.
Yeah, he breaks it down. Each letter, it's a roadblock, grammar, environment, translation, all of that.
Okay, I'm curious, what does he say about translation? Because that's always been tricky for me, that back and forth in my head.
He's on it. He says doing that, translating in your head, it slows you down. You hesitate, and then bam, you're stuck.
Yeah.
His solution is you got to retrain your brain. Think in English directly.
Okay, easier said than done, right? Like, how do you actually do that?
So this is where it gets kind of interesting. He has this whole, well, he calls it a Scooby-Doo method.
Scooby-Doo. All right, you're going to have to explain this one.
So picture this. He tells everyone the Scooby-Doo story, right? Then he starts asking questions about it. But here's the thing. Each question is in a different tense. Past, present, future. Was Scooby scared? Is Scooby a Great Dane? That kind of thing.
Wow, that's actually pretty clever. You're not thinking about grammar rules, just responding in the moment.
Exactly. And he's big on participation. Even in this transcript, you can tell. He wants people talking out loud if they can, even if it's just typing in a chat. Anything to get them speaking.
Yeah, he seems super high energy, like that friend at the gym who's always pushing you for one more rep.
Totally. And then he's got this whole lineup of like success stories, cricketers, doctors, all saying how great his method is. Very convincing.
Yeah, you hear those stories, those transformations, and it's hard not to be like, sign me up. But I gotta say, part of me is also a little skeptical. It's a lot of anecdotes. Where's the hard data?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's definitely something we want to dig into more as we keep going with this.
Yeah.
He's charismatic, seems like he's helped people, but is it too good to be true? That's the thing.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, is this truly revolutionary or just a really, really good sales pitch?
Right. Inspiring stories, yeah, but they don't always equal proof. It's like, well, ever heard that saying, the plural of anecdote is not data?
True, true. And that's what's tricky here. On one hand, you've got this Emil seems like a great guy, clearly helps some folks, but is it hype? Hard to tell sometimes.
And that's where, we got to think critically, not just toss it out, but really look closely. Like he uses this word a lot, revolution, right? His method. It's this big revolution in learning.
A bit dramatic. I mean, learning naturally, immersion, that's not new, is it?
Nope, you're right. He's not like inventing this stuff, but he's packaging it, right? It's fresh, it's exciting, it's marketable for sure. He knows how to tell a story. And that desire people have, fluency, confidence, he taps right into that.
And his own story. Small town, no fancy courses, but he became fluent. He's like the example.
Oh, absolutely. He's the guy who beat the system, which for people who've struggled, it's got to be appealing. It's like he's saying, hey, if I did it, you can too.
Yeah.
But there's this other side, almost like putting down other methods. Like, if you haven't succeeded, well, it's their fault. The old ways failed you.
Interesting. It's like he's creating this, like us versus them, the old guard versus his new way.
Exactly. And it ties into his confidence thing, big time. He says those old methods, grammar, memorization, it hurts your confidence. Makes you afraid to speak, afraid to mess up.
Oh, I know that feeling totally. You overthink it, worry about every word, and then you freeze up, don't even try.
Yep. And he flips that, see?
Yeah.
His way, it's okay to make mistakes. It's part of it. You're learning. Like, come on in, join my group. We're all messing up here. It's cool.
Smart, actually. He's selling belonging, community. When you're learning, especially something like a language, that's huge.
Huge. He gets it. It's emotional, too. Not just words in your brain. It's feeling confident, not being scared, connecting with people.
Okay, so sounds great, right? But I still keep coming back to this, the hard evidence. He uses phrases scientifically proven, but it's mostly stories, right? Where's the research, the data?
That's the thing, isn't it? Testimonials, they're powerful, but they're not the same as like a proper study. Doesn't mean he's wrong, but you got to be a little skeptical.
So what do we do with that? Charismatic guy, lots of success stories, but no real data. What's a language learner supposed to think?
It's about personal choice at the end of the day,
Why?
laying things out. What works for one person might not for another. There's no magic answer, unfortunately. No one size fits all.
So you find what clicks for you, your style, your goals.
Right. And maybe even more importantly, it's a journey. It's going to take time. There'll be ups and downs. Don't give up.
Enjoy it, the good, the bad, those little victories along the way.
Exactly. And maybe that's Amol's real strength. He's not just, like, teaching English. He's selling an experience, being part of something,
Yeah.
believing in yourself.
The power of belief. If you think you can do it, if you've got people supporting you, and you find a method you connect with, chances are you'll get there.
Absolutely. That's worth remembering, no matter how you choose to learn.
So we've talked about his style, natural learning, confidence, the data thing. But what about the content itself? What's he actually teaching?
Well, he's big on stories,
Yeah.
which, by the way, that's a solid technique, been around forever. Like the Scooby-Doo thing, making grammar fun, memorable.
Right. Internalizing it, not just memorizing rules. And it seems like he does the same with vocabulary. Students learn tons of words just naturally through these stories, exercises.
It's an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, context is key, but
Mm.
got to be realistic too. Language learning takes work no matter what.
You can't just like osmosis it
Mhm.
into your brain, right? Got to put in the effort.
Exactly. And that's where his whole supportive environment thing matters. Community, other learners, pushing each other.
Feeling like you belong, that it's okay to try, to fail even.
Exactly. That can be so motivating, especially with languages.
It's almost like he's built not just a course, but this whole world around it. But then again, that's getting pretty common online, isn't it? Right? Like these days, it feels like every language program's all about community, right? Like learn together, support each other, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? Because language learning, it can be kind of scary.
Yeah.
You put yourself out there, you're going to make mistakes, maybe feel silly.
Yeah.
So having other people, it helps.
Definitely. It's like you're not alone in it. But this is what I'm wondering about Amol's thing. It's all about learning naturally, no big effort. But then he's got this whole system, right? Rules, methods, the Scooby-Doo thing. So which is it? Effortless or not?
That's a good point. And it kind of gets to the heart of it. Language learning, it's both. You want that natural feel, but some structure helps too. Like imagine gardening. You can just toss seeds and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Or you can learn about the soil, the water, all that, and, well, your chances are better, right?
So it's finding that balance, not one or the other.
Exactly. A mole's way, even though he talks about effortlessness, there's a framework there. Tools, techniques, like the stories, that's not random. Our brains are wired for stories. It helps us learn.
Yeah, the Scooby-Doo method. That's all about that, right? Sneak in the grammar, even if you're not directly talking about it.
Right. Like learning to ride a bike. You don't need to know physics, just got to do it. He's going for that same kind of learning.
Rewiring your brain, but not by, like, just memorizing.
Exactly. Might not be, strictly speaking, revolutionary, but it's different. And hey, for some people, that's what they need, a break from the old ways.
So where does that leave us? What's the verdict? Is this the magic answer to languages, or is it just hype?
Honestly, probably a bit of both. Not a magic bullet, no, but it's got some good ideas. And if you're tired of textbooks, this could be what gets you excited about learning again.
So it all comes down to finding what works for you. Your style, what you want to get out of it, right?
Absolutely. And maybe even more importantly, it's about, being curious, being willing to try things out, believing you can do it.
Because at the end of the day, the best way to learn a language is the way that keeps you coming back for more, keeps you excited about it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, that was a deep dive. Amal's approach, all the good, the bad, we covered it. But now it's over to you. What really stuck with you? Any new ideas you'll try?
Maybe it's that natural learning thing, or maybe it's about confidence, not being scared to mess up. Whatever it is, hold on to that spark and see where it takes you.
Because learning a language, it's more than just, words and grammar. It's opening up your world, different cultures, a million possibilities.
And who knows, you might just surprise yourself.
So here's a thought before we go. What if the hardest part about learning a language isn't actually the language itself? What if it's our own ideas about learning that hold us back?
Something to think about. Until next time.